What is up, everybody? My name is Nate, and I am so excited to welcome you all back to another episode of the Chokehold Hour, where I discuss all things combat sports related. Guys, this week, we're going to be discussing the absolute banger of a card that is coming up at the Prudential Center in New Jersey, UFC 288, headlined by Aljamain Sterling, the greatest bantamweight in the world at this current moment, versus possibly the greatest bantamweight ever in Triple C, Henry Cejudo, the triple champ, Olympic gold medalist, double champ in the UFC. Guys, this card is going to be an absolute banger. The co-main, Bilal Muhammad, Gilbert Burns, both guys stepped up like warriors on last minute notice. Guys, I am so excited for this card, and I am even more excited to tell you guys about it in this video. I'm going to start from the bottom, going to the top. We're starting with the first fight on the main card, but before we get into all that, I know, guys, things look a little different. We're in a change of setting, scenery here, so yeah, I'm actually back in New York right now. I just got home from my first year at college, so yeah, it feels good to be done with my first year. And in a couple of days, I'm actually going to be heading to London for a little study abroad program for a month. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of scenery changes, guys, throughout the next month, but stay tuned. I'm still going to be releasing some awesome content overseas, and it may look a little different. It may come out at some obscure times, but yeah, it's going to be really cool, guys, so stay tuned. But anyways, we're going to get right into reviewing or previewing the card right now. Here we go. The first fight on the main card, and I am already shaking, guys. We have Kron Gracie, who carries the last name Gracie. Guys, if you don't know who the Gracies are the family who revolutionized Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and brought Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu to America and established it as a very useful art in mixed martial arts in the UFC and WEC and the earlier days of MMA. So yeah, the Gracie family, guys, they are the pioneers of Jiu-Jitsu in mixed martial arts. I really don't know what else to say. When you are a Gracie, you are expected to be of the highest level of Jiu-Jitsu practitioners in the world. And the man he is facing is no slouch. Charles Air Jourdain is a very talented fighter, and he does not disappoint. He always aims to entertain. His fight against Shane Burgos in New Jersey was absolutely incredible. I mean, he's a very talented striker who just gets a little emotional in the octagon sometimes. He gets carried away when he's in the octagon. I think he lets his emotions get the better of him sometimes. We saw that in one of his fights where he landed a little front kick at the end of the fight, and he started shouting at the end of the fight. I know that's like a lot of guys, they're warriors. They release their energy, but some of these guys have more control over their energy and emotions than others, and I think Charles Air Jourdain does let his emotions get to him sometime. Now, he's coming off of a unanimous decision loss to Nathan Wood, where, it wasn't a horrible loss. Nathaniel Wood he's a talented prospect. He's a good fighter. It's a respectable loss. And his loss to Shane Burgos, honestly, guys, that was a little, I don't really know. I mean, you can definitely give Shane the first 2 rounds of that fight, but you can also give Charles 2 rounds in that fight. I really think that fight could have gone either way. But Charles Jourdain, yeah, as I've been saying, he just aims to entertain. He's a good striker, but his career has been so-so. He really kind of teeters back and forth at the 500 mark. He loses, wins. He hasn't really put together a good streak of wins. And when you look at a guy like Kron Gracie, he can grapple, guys. Alex Caracas is an incredible striker. He is one of the most talented strikers in the UFC. He just flows. All of his movements flow together in one. It's incredible. Kron Gracie took him down and submitted him in the first round with ease. It was not even, he took, I think Alex only landed 4 strikes in total on Kron Gracie in that fight. Guys, Kron Gracie can grapple, and I think Charles Jourdain has not faced someone with the submission ability and submission technicality that Kron Gracie has, so I do believe that Kron Gracie is going to wear down Charles Jourdain and eventually get that back, take his neck, and choke him out in the 3rd round. Give me Kron Gracie by rear naked choke, round 3. All right, guys, so let's move on to the next fight in this card, which is, well, it might be a slaughter of the lambs, in my opinion. We have Movsar Evloev and Diego Lopez. Now, guys, we all know who Movsar is. He is one of the hottest prospects in the UFC right now. He dominated Dan Ige in a 3-round decision in his last fight. And when I say dominated, I mean dominated. Evloev did not look threatened once in the entirety of that fight. I didn't see Dan Ige as a respectable opponent to him. I think Movsar was on another level of skill. Mosvar is a very talented fighter, guys. I think he has champ potential. We saw that against Dan Ige. He dominated Dan. He washed him. It was not even close. And then this fight before that against Hakeem Dawodu, that was a great fight. I mean, Hakeem hurt him with one punch at one point in that fight, I believe. But other than that, it was all Mosvar. Mosvar is a very talented striker, a very talented wrestler. He's a guy who he's one of those guys. He just has every skill. You can't have a weakness when you're going up against a guy like Mosvar Evloev because he is so highly proficient and skilled in every aspect of mixed martial arts. Now, when we're talking about a guy like Diego Lopez, I don't really know why they put him in this fight. This was horrible matchmaking by the UFC. As I said before, it literally is the slaughtering of the lambs. Diego Lopez has not fought in the UFC before. He lost on Dana White's Contender Series. He has not faced high-level opposition, and you're throwing him in there against one of the best featherweights in the world? I mean, I really just don't think this is fair to Diego Lopez. I think they're just he's literally just a guy to fight Mosvar, and then they're going to cut him. I mean, he lost on Dana White's Contender Series, and you're putting him up against Mosvar Evloev, one of the most well-rounded, skilled mixed martial artists in the world. I mean, this is I love the UFC. I love Dana White. I am the biggest fan. I am truly. I love everything they do, but this matchmaking was just poor, guys. You can't put Diego Lopez against Mosvar Evloev. It's not going to be a close fight. So, guys, I either have Mosvar Evloev by knockout in the first round or by absolute 3-round unanimous decision domination where Diego Lopez is hurt and in danger pretty much every second of that fight. Yeah, I don't really see Diego Lopez winning this fight in any world, guys. So I want to talk about the matchup that was supposed to happen here. Ilia Topuria versus Mosvar Evloev. Now that is a different story, that fight, because Ilia Topuria is a very talented fighter. He ran through Bryce Mitchell in his last fight. He destroyed Bryce Mitchell. I mean, he made Bryce Mitchell look easy, and Bryce Mitchell made Edson Barboza look easy, who's one of the greatest strikers of all time. Ilia Topuria is a talented prospect, and is one of the only guys that I think could hang with Mosvar Evloev in there, and is also a potential future champ at featherweight. So that fight definitely would have been a different story. I'd love to see them run that fight at another time in the future after Mosvar defeats Diego, which I'm telling you he will. But yeah, I would love to see that fight happen at some point. And if it does, I do have Mosvar still because I think he is the future champ of this division. But yeah, I think this was poor matchmaking. I think they just wanted to keep Mosvar on the card, so they needed a last-minute fill-in, and here you got Diego. So, I mean, he's a warrior. He stepped in, but Mosvar Evloev is going to run through him. That is just my opinion, but I guess we will see how it all plays out. Now, moving on to the next fight, we have a women's strawweight fight with Jessica Andrade and Yan Xiaonan, I apologize. But yeah, so this fight, it's interesting, guys, because Yan Xiaonan is a talented fighter. She is a talented fighter. But if you look at her weaknesses, she got destroyed by Carla Esparza. She got dominated by Carla Esparza. That fight was not even close. Carla outlanded her by like 100-something strikes, I believe. Carla Esparza dominated Yan Xiaonan. Why? Carla Esparza is an elite grappler. Now, if we look at Jessica Andrade, we've seen what she can do. She submitted Amanda Lemos with a standing guillotine. That was incredible. You almost never see that. I'm not sure if it was a standing guillotine or a standing arm triangle, but either way, but they were in the clinch. And just like that, Andrade had her neck. The fight was over. Amanda Lemos is a great prospect, a great striker, but she was overwhelmed by Jessica Andrade. Now, yes, Jessica Andrade is coming off of a loss to Erin Blanchfield, but guys, Erin Blanchfield is built different. She is an absolute beast among women. I mean, have you seen the way she's built? She's just so stocky and strong, and it seems like she has such a good base, and she just has the perfect body to wrestle and fight. I really think that she's going to be the champion of the featherweight division, or the women's strawweight division at some point. That being said, Jessica Andrade is still very talented. She's put together incredible wins in the women's strawweight division, and most notably, she got knocked out by Wei Li, but she beat Rose. She knocked out Rose Namajunas, a former champ, by slam. She slammed her on her head. Jessica Andrade is a very powerful, strong, and talented wrestler, and Yan Xiaonan has shown in the past that she does not necessarily know how to deal with wrestlers. And she also isn't the most proficient striker either. She lost to Marina Rodriguez, who is a better striker than her. I mean, Yan Xiaonan doesn't have any specific mixed martial arts qualities that stand out to me, to be honest with you, which is why I'm going to take Jessica Andrade by third round submission in this fight. It even might happen in the second, but I'm going to go with the third. I think Jan's going to put up a fight. Jessica's going to wear her down, it's going to look similar to the Chrome Gracie Charles Jourdain fight, actually, I believe. Yan will maybe have her moments. We'll see. Jessica's going to wear her down. She's going to ride her legs, use the clinch, put all of her weight on Yan for the entirety of the fight, land some nice strikes, and eventually get that neck and choke her out. So yeah, guys, give me Jessica Andrade by rear naked choke. No doubt about it. Lock it in. Here we go. All right, guys, this is where things start to get interesting. We are going to head over to the co-main event with huge implications at welterweight between Belal, remember the name Muhammad, and Gilbert Durinho Burns. Guys, I cannot be more excited for this fight. This one's interesting. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. You look at a guy like Belal Muhammad, and he's obviously very talented. He has a very incredible streak of wins right now. He has a lot of notoriety due to the names that he's defeated. Now, people don't necessarily like his style. He's more of a wrestler. He's a top control type of guy. He doesn't land much ground and pound. Not really an active threat for the submission. So Belal, he's on the more not as entertaining side when it comes to grapplers compared to a guy like Khabib, who will smash you, submit you from the top. Like, Belal's still, he's very talented. He has skill. He just isn't a fan favorite. And I don't think being a fan favorite decides whether you win fights or not. Belal Muhammad TKO'd Sean Brady in his last fight. Belal Muhammad TKO'd Sean Brady. He destroyed Wonderboy. He absolutely destroyed Wonderboy, and he destroyed Vicente Luque. I mean, I thought Vicente Luque was going to be the future champion of the welterweight division until he ran into Belal Muhammad. Vicente Luque has it all. He has that nasty dark choke that he locked up against Michael Chiesa. He's an incredible striker. We've seen him knock out countless guys. Vicente Luque's the real deal, and Belal Muhammad made him look like a child. Belal Muhammad is a very talented wrestler. His takedowns are elite. His forward pressure is elite. His cardio is elite. There is nothing not elite about Belal Muhammad's wrestling. Now, his striking, he does have some holes. I don't think it's as bad as everyone says, though. Belal Muhammad, he doesn't really have much pop behind that punch. He TKO'd Sean Brady, who's a grappler. He didn't really knock him out. He was just landing a barrage of strikes. Belal's a good striker, I think. He can defend himself, and he can land some shots of his own, but I don't think we're going to see him getting any sort of TKO or knockout in this fight. I mean, time will tell. We will see. The only way I could maybe see a TKO is ground and pound, but no, Belal Muhammad is not necessarily the highest level of striker in mixed martial arts or in the Ultimate Fighting Championship, so I don't think that's necessarily his best path to victory. But when you look at the guy he's facing in Gilbert Durinho Burns, I don't really know who's the better grappler here. Guys, Gilbert Burns was a multiple-time ADCC champ. He is incredible. Gilbert Burns was a Brazilian jiu-jitsu artist before he transitioned to mixed martial arts. His base is grappling. No one wants to go to the ground with Gilbert. We saw that in the Khamzat fight. Khamzat did not take Gilbert down, and he said in the post-fight interview the reason for that was that Gilbert kept threatening the armbar, the triangle, and Khamzat, he felt threatened. He didn't want to deal with all that. So Gilbert is a real threat from the bottom. You do not want to be on the ground with Gilbert, and I think Belal Muhammad knows that, which is why I think this fight actually might turn into a striking match, guys. I mean, we saw Gilbert Burns against Khamzat Chimaev. He went to war. He didn't look for the takedown once. Gilbert Burns really only looks for the takedown against guys he knows he can just ragdoll and submit on the ground, like Neil Magny. He didn't need to do much in that fight. He was the better grappler. It was obvious. He took him down and submitted him. Now, in this fight, I think Gilbert knows that's not the case. Belal Muhammad, the guy who was facing him in the octagon, is just as talented as that's not true. Belal Muhammad's the better wrestler. Gilbert Burns is the better jiu-jitsu artist. What is more important in this fight? I don't really know, but I think both of these guys are going to Belal will shoot much more than Gilbert in this fight, but Gilbert has great takedown defense. He's a great guy. He's a great Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner. So I think even if Belal lands a takedown, he's going to feel that threat of the submission from Gilbert and maybe back off a little. So yeah, guys, I think this fight might turn into a striking match. Now, what happens if you have Gilbert Burns and Belal Muhammad in a kickboxing match? Or should I say a Muay Thai match, because the elbows and knees. Now, many UFC fans and MMA fans would say Durinho runs through him. Durinho dominates him. Gilbert Durinho Burns is clearly the better striker in this fight. And do I agree with you? Yes, to an extent. Gilbert Durinho is an incredible fighter, and he has much more power than Belal Muhammad. He does have that pop. We saw him knock out Damian Maia. We saw him hurt Kamaru Usman. We saw him hurt Jorge Masvidal. Gilbert Burns has pop. And he's a great striker. That, I wouldn't say he's a great striker. He's a good striker. He is a good, solid striker. Now, that being said, Belal Muhammad, he has a nice jab. He has a quick one, too. He has a decent sense of distance, considering he is a wrestler. He has a great sense of timing because he's a wrestler and has to learn how to time his takedowns perfectly to not get hit on the entry or get his shot defended. I mean, I think Belal Muhammad has more of a chance in this stand-up fight than people think. I think the problem with Belal is he's so unentertaining at times that the UFC, the whole MMA fandom just writes him off in all of his fights. Like, you'll see the comments, if UFC posts Belal on Instagram, all the comments are, I don't remember the name, who's this guy? People just don't really like Belal Muhammad that much, and I think that's why a lot of people think Gilbert Burns is going to run through him, because Gilbert Burns is a fan favorite. But that being said, I do think Gilbert Burns is a little bit more skilled overall as a mixed martial artist. I think that pop is going to come into play during this fight. I think we're going to see Gilbert land a few nice shots on Belal. We'll see Belal establish his jab. He might land a right here and there, but I don't think he has that power. If Khamzat Chimaev could not put Gilbert Burns away on the feet, Belal Muhammad is definitely not putting Gilbert Burns away on the feet. Gilbert Burns is a warrior. He's a great jiu-jitsu practitioner. He has that pop. He has incredible power at the welterweight division, and we've seen that in his past fights. So guys, what do I think is going to happen in this fight? To be honest with you, I'm taking Gilbert Burns by 5-round unanimous decision. I don't think there's going to be a finish in this fight. I think both of these guys are not going to like being on the ground with one another. It's going to be uncomfortable because each of them have very highly known skill sets in different parts of the ground game, wrestling for Belal Muhammad and jiu-jitsu for Gilbert Burns. So yeah, I don't think these guys are going to be comfortable on the ground with each other. I think this is going to turn into more of a striking match, and I think that Gilbert Burns, his pop is going to scare Belal a little bit. Belal will land that jab, he'll land that right, but then he'll get hit with a little overhand and he'll be like, okay, this guy Gilbert, he might be able to knock me out if he lands a couple more of those. So I think that will make Belal remember the name Muhammad a little bit more hesitant in his strikes, and I think Gilbert's going to take control of the pace of the fight, establish his forward pressure, establish his jab, land some nice overhands, and make Belal nervous and anxious and keep him guessing. So I think Gilbert Burns is going to win this fight by 5-round unanimous decision for the co-main event of UFC 288. Lock it in, Gilbert Burns. Here we go. All right, guys. Up next is the main event. Guys, I cannot tell you how important this fight is for the bantamweight division. I mean, oh my goodness. Triple C, Henry Cejudo, the triple champ, Olympic gold medalist, double champ in the UFC, one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time, is taking on Aljamain Sterling, the backpack, the best, strongest, most dominant bantamweight in the current world of mixed martial arts and the UFC. Guys, if Aljamain Sterling wins this fight, he might be the greatest bantamweight of all time. He beat TJ Dillashaw, beat Henry Cejudo, put Corey Sandhagen to sleep in a minute, beat Peter Yan twice. I mean, guys, Aljamain Sterling's resume speaks for itself. He's really starting to build a lot of momentum and gain a lot more traction, get higher notoriety, get bigger named wins. I mean, he destroyed TJ Dillashaw. That was not even a fight. That was a massacre. Aljamain Sterling is very, very strong, and he is a very good wrestler. Look at Aljamain Sterling's physique. He is shredded to the bone. He is shredded, and he is in shape. He is in wrestling shape. His cardio is not going to be an issue in this fight. He is going to keep shooting. I say that, but then on the other side, you have Henry Cejudo, an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. Guys, this is such an interesting fight to me because you have two such highly talented wrestlers that are kind of, their styles are a little different. I mean, look at Henry. I think one thing that could play a factor into this fight is Henry Cejudo's precision. Now, we know Aljamain Sterling is a good striker. We've seen him strike with Peter Yan. Peter Yan is a little bit better, obviously, in the striking department, but Aljo can hang with Peter Yan on the feet. We saw that, especially in the first round of their second fight, where he kept landing those nice body kicks. But Henry Cejudo is precise on the feet, guys. That knee he landed to put away Dominic Cruz, I mean, that was perfectly timed. He waited for Dom to stop striking, lower his defense, and enter right into range, and bang, that knee was there, right on his chin. Now, if we look at the fight where he became double champ against TJ Dillashaw, I mean, the first time I watched that highlight, I really didn't know what happened. Henry was so precise. He clipped him in the perfect spot behind the ear. That was it. TJ was hurt immediately. He was hurt immediately. And Henry Cejudo, guys, he's a much more precise striker than people give him credit for. He's defeated Demetrius Johnson, possibly the greatest mixed martial artist of all time. I mean, his resume is just beyond words. Henry Cejudo is very talented. But I think he's smaller than Aljamain. I know he's smaller than Aljamain Sterling. I mean, guys, Aljamain Sterling has an 11-inch reach advantage in this fight. Are you kidding me? I mean, okay, so I think this fight is going to go one of two ways. Aljamain Sterling's best bet at winning this fight, I think, is maintaining his range, winning the striking battle on the feet, and eventually getting that takedown, taking Henry's back, and choking him out at some point. Or just riding out to a decision victory, maintaining that range, using his reach, and maintaining that distance. Now, that being said, Henry Cejudo hasn't fought in 3 years, but if he returns with the skill that he had, he could very easily win this fight. I mean, I think the way this fight is decided is the skill and the athleticism that Henry Cejudo has maintained from his athletic prime. Can Henry Cejudo return and be what he was, or will he look like a shell of his former self? Now, back to those one of two ways for winning, or how this fight is going to go. I think it's either going to be Aljamain Sterling just maintains his range, lands some nice body kicks, lands some nice jabs, and eventually wears down Henry, takes him down, and submits him. Or if Henry Cejudo has really been training for this fight, guys, and has really, really been working his tail off, maybe he is just too good. Maybe he really is. He's Triple C, the triple champ. He can do it all, and maybe he's going to return with the prowess for wrestling, striking, and mixed martial arts as a holistic game that he had in his prime in the UFC, and maybe he's just going to run through Aljo. So, it's going to go one of two ways. I think Aljo could maintain his distance and win by late finish, or Henry Cejudo comes out like a dog and wins in that first round by knockout. Yeah, guys, I know. I said that. Crazy take, but I don't know. Henry Cejudo is dangerous. He's proven that throughout the entirety of his career. Henry Cejudo is a dangerous man, and you cannot take him lightly. I do not think Aljamain Sterling is taking him lightly, but I don't think Aljamain Sterling fully knows Henry Cejudo's skill set. Henry Cejudo has recent tape on Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain Sterling has been an active champion. Henry Cejudo hasn't fought in 3 years. Aljo has no clue what this guy's game plan is. He has no clue what his current skill set is. He has no clue what this guy's going to bring to the octagon. Aljamain Sterling knows much less about his opponent entering this fight, and that could play a huge difference in this fight. Now, I'm going to give you guys my official pick for this main event, and then after that, we're going to discuss the implications that this fight has on the bantamweight division and what will be next, depending on the results. But before that, my official pick, Aljamain Sterling, round 3, rear naked choke. I know I was just talking up Henry Cejudo, talking a big game about his skill set, but I think Aljo's size is going to be too much. I don't think Henry's retained all his skill from his prime, and I think Aljo with the strength advantage, the weight advantage, and the reach advantage, I think it's going to be too much for Henry Cejudo. I think Aljamain Sterling is going to show that he's just the bigger, stronger guy in there. Henry might have his moments, but Aljo's going to wear down on him with that superior size and strength, and eventually get that rear naked choke. Now, I know saying Henry Cejudo is going to get submitted could be a bold take, but on Saturday, when you see Aljamain Sterling with Henry Cejudo's back sinking in that rear naked choke, come back to this podcast and say, oh, maybe it wasn't that crazy of a take. Okay, so next we're going to be discussing the implications for the bantamweight division depending on who wins this fight. Now, guys, it's very interesting what could happen next, because you see, Henry Cejudo and Aljamain Sterling have both vocally expressed that they would love to fight Sugar Sean O'Malley next. Does that make sense? 100%. Sugar Sean is the biggest draw in the division. Everybody loves Sugar Sean. Everybody's going to buy pay-per-views if Sugar Sean O'Malley is fighting for the title. He is the guy that attracts the casuals. He has a huge fan base, much bigger than Aljamain Sterling or Henry Cejudo. And he's a striker. Both of these guys are grapplers. The matchup kind of plays into Aljo and Henry's favor, even though I have Sugar Sean over both of them, because I'm very high on Sugar Sean striking. I think he will be the champion of the bantamweight division, but yes, I do think both of these guys believe their wrestling will give them a large advantage over Sugar Sean in a fight. So yeah, so here's what happens, guys. If Aljamain Sterling wins this fight, I think he's lying. He might fight Sugar Sean O'Malley, but Aljamain Sterling really can't cut to bantamweight anymore, guys. Aljamain Sterling is moving up in weight at some point, 100%, whether it's after the Sugar Sean fight or before. So if Aljo wins this fight, he either fights Sugar, then goes up, or just vacates and goes right up. Now, if Henry Cejudo wins this fight, what do? If you're Aljo, do you just give up and move up and just that's it? Or do you campaign for a rematch or try to get back to title contention to prove you're the best bantamweight ever? I don't really know, but Aljamain is not going to get an immediate rematch against Henry if he loses. I don't think he has enough title defenses to claim a stake that he deserves that. I think that if Henry wins this, they're going to book Henry versus Sugar Sean next, and my God, that fight is going to sell. The Cringe King, Triple C versus Sugar Sean O'Malley, everyone is going to want to see Sugar knock his head off, and it might happen, it might not, but it will sell, hands down. And then, obviously, after that, you're going to see Merab fight the winner of that, unless he somehow manages to lose from now to then, which I don't think will happen. I think he's just too good to lose to anybody not at the top of the division, or not the top 1, 2, or 3, and I think he might even be the number 1 guy in the division, but only time will tell. But yeah, guys, this fight decides what's next in the bantamweight division. I mean, you have Merab waiting anxiously on the sides. You have Sean O'Malley waiting anxiously, but he's next. He knows it. And then we can't forget about Corey Sandhagen. He's coming off of a dominant win over Marlon Chito Vera. And when I say dominant, I mean dominant. He did not look threatened in that fight. Corey Sandhagen was the better mixed martial artist by far and away, light years ahead of Chito Vera in every aspect of the game. Corey was a better striker. He maintained his distance better. He was more defensively sound. He was a better grappler. Corey Sandhagen looked like a different mixed martial artist in that fight than what we had seen in the past. Now, if you do remember, though, Aljamain Sterling choked Corey Sandhagen out to sleep in the first round of their fight. So yeah, that's just a testament to Aljo's skill and why I think he's going to choke out Henry Cejudo in this fight. But yeah, you have Corey, Sugar, and Merab all waiting in the wings, and they're anxiously awaiting to see the victor of this fight and see who it will be, because that is going to decide all of their future and the future of their careers. So yeah, Aljo wins, he fights Sugar, and then moves up, or just moves up right after. Henry wins. Henry versus Sugar is next. Probably, but you could do Henry versus Merab, Henry versus Corey. If Sugar is able to beat Henry, you can book Sugar versus Corey, an incredibly entertaining matchup between two high-level strikers. You can do Sugar versus Merab, the wrestling versus striking. I mean, there's a lot of incredible matchups you can make. The bantamweight division is possibly the most stacked division in the Ultimate Fighting Championship right now, and it is on fire with these matchups as of late. Chito versus Corey. Aljo versus Henry. You had Sugar versus Piotr Jan. I mean, guys, the bantamweight division, Dana and Sean Shelby have just been delivering with these bantamweight division matchups, and I have just been absolutely loving every single moment of it. I am here for it. But yeah, guys, that is my UFC 288 recap. I have Aljamain Sterling, or a preview, I apologize, but I have Aljamain Sterling to win this main event. If you don't believe me, that's okay. We will see what happens on Saturday. Now, guys, I have a special announcement that you may already know if you've been watching my previous episodes, but I will be at the Prudential Center for UFC 288, watching that fight live. So yeah, I'm going to be providing you guys with some live updates, some clips from in the arena. So, I'm going to provide you with I'll show you the noise level of the arena and the insanity that is a UFC event in person. And I'm just going to kind of try to share my experience of being there and my love for the game with all of you through social media and my Twitter, my Chokehold Hour Instagram, my TikTok. So yeah, make sure you guys are following my socials tomorrow for some updates. It's going to be an absolute banger of a card, and I just feel so blessed that I get to witness it in person. I mean, guys, I'm in New York right now. When I found out there was going to be a card in New Jersey, that was it. I knew I had to get there one way or another. And actually, shout out to my good friend, Zach Stecklow, who hooked us up with the tickets. It is his birthday, or his birthday just passed, but we are going for his birthday. So I just want to say happy birthday to Zach. I'm excited to see you tomorrow, and we are going to have a great time watching that card. Now, guys, thank you so much for watching another episode of the Chokehold Hour. Do remember to check out my TikTok at the Chokehold Hour. Check out all my other socials. My Twitter is Bill Garay Nate. My Instagram is the Chokehold Hour. So yeah, I'm going to be providing those live updates in the arena for all of you, and it's going to be an awesome night. So thank you all so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.